The desert glows under a dying sky, where fire once ruled and flags once flew. Now only silence remains. This is how the second chapter ended, not with victory cries, but with ashes drifting across the ruins of a broken caliphate. But silence can be deceptive, because what looks like an ending is often just a pause before something darker begins to move beneath the surface. In March 2019, the final stronghold of ISIS collapsed in Baghouz, marking the official end of a so-called state that once ruled millions through fear and control. The black flags were lowered, the fighters surrendered, and families emerged from tunnels, blinking into a world they had almost forgotten. It looked like the end of something monstrous, but the truth was far more complicated, because ISIS was never just about land. It was an idea, and ideas do not surrender. They evolve, adapt, and wait for the right moment to return. At its peak, ISIS controlled vast cities like Mosul and Raqqa, turning them into centers of power and fear. But by 2018, relentless attacks had shattered that illusion of control, pushing ISIS back into the deserts where it would make its final stand. Baghouz became the last battlefield, a place where survival replaced ambition and desperation replaced power. Fighters dug tunnels beneath the sand, hiding like ghosts, refusing to disappear even as the world closed in around them. Civilians were trapped in the chaos, caught between bombs above and fear below, their lives reduced to survival. Then came the final assault, overwhelming, relentless, and impossible to escape. The sky roared with air. Within hours, the last defenses began to crumble. And then, silence. The caliphate was gone, but something invisible slipped away into the shadows. Because ISIS did not disappear, it transformed. Just months later, a new operation began, targeting the man who once stood at the center of it all. That man was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, a figure who had become both leader and symbol of the caliphate. For years, he had remained hidden, a ghost directing a war from the shadows. Now, intelligence had found him. Under darkness, helicopters cut through the sky toward his final hiding place. The compound was surrounded. Escape was impossible. Baghdadi ran, desperate, fleeing into a tunnel beneath the ground. Moments later, an explosion ended his life and his reign. The world celebrated, but the war was not over. Because removing a leader does not erase an idea. ISIS shifted strategy, becoming smaller, faster, harder to track. No longer armies, but shadows striking without warning. In Iraq and Syria, sleeper cells began to reappear. They struck quietly, then vanished, like ghosts returning to unfinished business. But the story did not stay in one region. Across Africa, new groups pledged allegiance. Different lands, same ideology. The battlefield had become global, and the fight against ISIS entered a new phase, a quieter war, but no less dangerous. Governments tracked networks hidden online. Raids continued in the shadows, but behind it all were human stories, lives shattered but still moving forward, communities trying to rebuild from fear. Yet the past lingers like a shadow, because defeating fighters is one battle, but defeating belief is another. And so the story ends where it truly begins again, because the caliphate may be gone, but the shadow war is far from over.